Well, it is one sighting of Spurs this summer for the home fans before the Premier League campaign. Big familiar rivals from last season in the Champions League. And Roberto Gagliardini coming back in place of Alessandro Bastoni. And new signing Nicola Barella as his pre-season fixtures, including this one. The front three have all scored twice in the 4 previous friendlies. In the first 2 games in this competition out in Asia. Made his return in Munich and is in. Here we go then. Can Spurs make the statement they are hoping for in front of their own fans after a... It's taken off Danny Rose and it was just kept in play. Timber. Spurs making good ground through Lamela before Lucas Moura takes over, takes on Skriniar and scores! Wonderfully well, Lucas Moura continues his excellent record in front of goal in pre-season. Well, it didn't take long, did it? Just a couple of minutes on the clock in their first fixture in front of their own fans this summer, and Lucas Moura gives Spurs the early lead.
It's a goal of the highest quality, something you work on in training. They developed the 3v3.
Romelu Lukaku.
You can imagine Conte will be seething if he misses out on him for a second time. Was desperate to get him at Chelsea.
As Walker Peters running out of options down by Brozovic, who got an important boot to it. Well, Perisic to have a hit.
In terms of how good they are going forward, but notably how hard they work to stop the opposition playing. Brozovic is still...
Try from Walker Peters. Spurs thought for a moment they'd won it back before the referee's intervention. Support from Harry Winks, who just overran it. And left his foot in the... Well, it was a chap. It's an awkward one for Lucas Moura to try and hold up. Concedes the
compete wages.
There's Esposito, who did well to win it and deliver dangerously. Sissoko forced wider than intended.
See the traps they set straight under Daniel Levy. They discarded Baldini, technical director. He really is hands-on. He's pivotal to every...
Camp in Switzerland before the trip to Asia, and Raja Nangalan set to return to his former club Cagliari. We understand their kick-off is not the case in Serie A. There's Danny Rose. He will win the free kick. He's in to organise that wall. It will be Harry Kane, and he knew from the moment against PSG last week. And Walker Peters again had covered good ground before Harry Kane takes over. He did have Lucas Moura Saturday in Stockholm, Atletico Madrid against Juventus. Spalletti's side, of course, did secure Champions League qualification for a second. Esposito taking the Inter job just a day after Luciano Spalletti's departure was confirmed. Frankfurt last season. He's won the free kick since he takes it, the new signing. Spurs with plenty. Kane will try and make something off, but comfortably blocked by Skriniar. The crosses behind the primary list of targets. Candreva will try and return it. Here he is again, taking the ball from Walker Peters and delivering in towards Lucas Moura. A grip in the game. Inter after the early concession took a little while perhaps for heads to clear. Working it wide here for Esposito for Inter before continuing his run. Danny Rose had to be careful with the new coach in charge. Inside foray forward once more. It was there to be hit. Brilliant effort, which beat Lloris and bounces back off the frame of the goal. Well, he caught it so sweetly.
What a strike. Lloris is at full stretch and still gets nowhere near that. And how that doesn't hit the inside of the post and go in is beyond me. Brilliant play.
Opens up for him because of that. And Brozovic had to get the challenge right.
Pace they're giving around that 10 area, but here comes Harry Kane, Tottenham's own 10.
Well, he looked like he'd wriggled clear before.
And the difference there is that Suso for AC Milan from that type of distance hit the target, got his team back.
It will be Eric Lamela to take it. Kane was his initial target. Sanchez is scrapping for it. Season. Now Inter have worked this wonderfully well, and here is the opening for the equaliser. It is taken brilliantly. Well, he's made a real difference, hasn't he, since signing this summer. Stefano Sensi kept his composure. He was close earlier in the half, no mistake this time. Tottenham 1, Inter 1.
Brilliant build-up play. Talked about how good Tottenham are defensively in terms of fullbacks narrowing to centre-halves, but they've been caught out by some brilliant play. Walker Peters has switched. competition. He has been impressive.
He has been brought in, I'm sure, for the
Be better, but this one is.
He gets it back from Sensi. The new signings who haven't yet come in, but they do look to have acquired a very useful addition in Stefano Sensi. Lucas Moura, the man who started the scoring ahead of him. This is Sissoko. They come again. Gagliardini, the furthest forward this time. Sensi trying to pick up the pieces once more, but the whistle is good. Yet again, it's an unconvincing conclusion too.
But then when he wants to go through the gears, he really can.
Walker-Peters sees his effort. Another scrapping for will be reached in the end by Esposito. Not quite as intended for him. Well, Lucas Moura's won it back here. Handanovic got a hand to
Interpreted next season, because it does his hand. It does change the...
The referee's pulled this throughout that first 45. Certainly remains here. Inter launching it long immediately, but it was the... And there is still the threat. Nkudu coming away with it, just unable to dig it out from under his feet. For our rivals. He lets it go because it breaks favourably for Heung-min Son. Marsh trying to provide the service. Dalbert with a little bit of room in which to work. Sensi flicking it forward almost inadvertently, had to try and improve. Ball towards Parrott, but it will just skip away. De Vrij had to deal with that very quickly. 43 times by Portugal. Gazzaniga's content to let
back forward. Tottenham just looking to play in behind Harry Winks and get on the ball. Harry Winks got to be careful.
Oh, as Son goes through the gears, it's still with Heung-min Son. Everything.
And he knows those big switches a player on all day, and here's another one on the right hand side.
In towards Dalbert, but it's intelligent ball. Politano will get there in awkwardly, but Evans. Dalbert against Walker-Peters, who does have assistance from Kane, who was having his shirt pulled. Politano. It is there to be struck. Barella. Another intervention from Andre Mel. Heavily involved since his introduction. Sensi takes over and works the 1-2. Couldn't quite pick his way through this time, but he's... Sensi finding Dalbert. Flag up on the far side. Sensi. It's a well-timed ball into the path, or at least the intended forward from the back. De Vrij and Skriniar are obvious targets here.
It's a ball.
Oh, it's a brilliant ball. And they're just... Eriksson to Walker-Peters, who will try again to provide the service.
A great screen in front of that back three also.
Ball forward. Politano trying to make the most of it. Danny Rose trying to get back to him, and does get back to him and comes...
You know, he's got that type of range, just not the same wavelength there.
Dalbert. Just good enough. Again, it's Lamela putting the pressure on, a little bit too much on that occasion. Brozovic under pressure as well. The whistle has gone as Eriksson threatened to come away with
strength into the tank. So to come January, February, when it really needs to be called upon, it's there. It's been competitive, yeah. Mistake here, though.
Handanovic giving it away to Eriksson, tees it up for Eric Lamela. Will reach Lamela, couldn't quite control it, didn't have a lot of time to do so.
This is the period now, 20 minutes to go.
Eric Lamela to keep the pressure on. Harry Winks, he thought about the shot. Skriniar stepping out from the back. This is Dalbert. He's got a fair few to aim for. It's a wicked ball in. Hits this somewhat dispossessed here. Sensi tries to come away with it. There is Skip to stop him.
Albeit, you just have to look at how many England internationals he created at Southampton, at Tottenham. He was doing
Tottenham Hotspur to take their turn first with Christian Eriksen. And it's saved by Handanovic. First kick of the shootout for Inter. And it's saved. Son for Spurs scores. Up against Gatsanika. And we're all square. It's a really against PSG last week. It's Chike and Kudu for Spurs here. How about Kudu? DeMarco's next for Inter. And also scores. Took over the captain's armband earlier in the game. Toby Alderweireld scores for Inter. Politano picks out the top corner.
And even for a young age.
Stepping up, Oliver Skip from the spot, saved by Handanovic. Assumes the responsibility. Up against Gatsanika. João Mario wins it.